Hey, you're watching The Third Rail. I'm Sera here with Nick.
Yes, hey.
Sach.
Yes, that's right. Plenty coming up later on.
Plenty coming up.
Oh, yeah, heaps.
One of the questions is Barack Obama a sellout? And we're going to talk about Peter Dutton's alternative facts about Manus Island.
Yep, fake news.
But first, Anzac Day and the controversy about Yassmin Abdel-Magied. So we'll show you a clip of the Facebook post which has landed her in a little bit of hot water. So those four little words in brackets were deleted. She's apologised for what's happened, but the media storm is basically brewing. It hasn't stopped. I want to show our audience a clip or an image of the Daily Telegraph front page to just show how crazy things are getting.
New York Times are bloody reporting on it, for God's sake.
I know.
Why do they care?
I don't know.
What difference does it make?
I don't know. But what I was going to start with, actually, if you don't mind, was I was going to ask Nick, if you don't mind. Free speech, you know. What's going on?
I don't know.
Whatever happened to free speech?
What is Anzac Day? And it was just another excuse for these things to happen. You know, I don't think she should have deleted the stuff. She should have, dug in and defended that. But it's all pretty predictable. Although, I had to say, the defence of today, Kyle Sandilands, big Kyle, you know,
huge
Kiss
Kyle.
FM, huge
Right.
Kyle.
Huge Kyle.
Yeah. He came out in defence and said, you know, he doesn't think she should be sacked because naturally the News Corp stable and all their little acolytes have been demanding her head, which is kind of an Islamic flavour.
It won't happen.
It won't happen.
No way in the world. You think if they've got a plan for her? And not only that, if this would be very defeating for them if they were to go ahead and just bow to all the pressure that's being put on them. But at the same time, I think it says a lot about her. You know, like you said before, she took it down, like an hour after she posted it. She saw the reaction wasn't what she wanted, right? And then she decided to bail, right? Unlike Scott McIntyre in 2015, who posted some comments on Twitter regarding Anzac Day, and he was given the arse by SBS, obviously because, you know, they are a commercial network partly, you know, because they've got some stakeholders.
But that, you remember that actually happened because Turnbull, I think, who was the communications minister at the time, put in a phone call to the head of SBS. Then the next day, Scott McIntyre was gone and it led to an unfair dismissal case and they settled it. But, I mean, his tweets were on a whole other level of offensive, I think. It would be fair to say.
Oh, look.
They were pretty bad.
Look, not that they were bad. I mean, you can see how people were offended by it.
Piss people off.
But I agree with what she says, you know. I think, you know, light should be shone on these other issues, but not on this day. It's sort of like, you know, going up to someone whose birthday, the birthday boy at a party and just saying, nah, it's all about me today, you know. No, it's not. It's got nothing to do with you. It's about these people today. Let them have their day. And you know what? I hate to sound so cliche about it, but if they didn't go and commit the sacrifices that, you know, you or I would quiver at the thought of it, right? Let's be honest.
I would quiver.
I'm a big quiverer,
Totally.
you know. We wouldn't be able to do what we do. But at the same time, I don't think she would get sacked, but it says a lot about her as a person.
It's just weird though, isn't it? You know,
it's all about her.
They died so that you could have freedom of speech. But you can't say that, you know.
They didn't.
It depends on who's talking.
No, they didn't die for that. I mean, there's a whole. It's a very complex issue, obviously. You know, with conscription and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's very political. But at the same time, she's lost a lot of support here. I think that within those people who were 50-50 about it. You know, I couldn't give a shit either way.
Well, I must say, I think she probably has, and I've got to say, I really didn't want to talk about this tonight because I just was like so over the hysteria. I almost want to talk about the Logies more, and that's saying
she'll probably get more Twitter followers out of it and she'll love it.
But that is true. But I think one of the things that I thought, I agree with you, I think the timing was wrong, even though I totally agree with her sentiments. But the other thing that there's been a bit of social media discussion about this, and I've read some stuff from some Aboriginal rights activists who've sort of come out and said, look, you know, the original comment, it sort of missed the mark, and why isn't there some acknowledgement of, you know, the abuse suffered by Aboriginal people by the Australian government. And that's a really valid point.
She didn't
mention
Indigenous people.
And that's a great point. And I think it's our problem is that, you know, 2 or 3 times a year, we have Australia Day, we have Anzac Day, which commemorates something fairly stupid. You know, I hate to put it like that, but, you know, we got to...
But it is what it is.
It is the celebration of getting your ass handed to you and then saying
but there are also, you know, people, veterans who you know, and there's been some really interesting stories on the ABC actually website about young veterans especially who just don't have any support. They come back from war, they're suffering from PTSD.
Universal problem.
There are major, you know, suicide issues that they're facing, mental health problems, and there isn't that support. Now, if this day means something to them, I'm in favour of it. Even no matter what your position on war is. Like,
with you,
yeah.
Well, 100%, 100%. But our problem, I think, as a country, is that we only ever talk about these things. You know, if she'd made that tweet the day after Anzac Day, maybe that would have been less offensive because it's not, you know, being sacrilegious about Anzac Day. But we never continue these conversations for long enough. Like, we've got serious fucking identity problems in this country because we don't want to face up to our past. We don't want to admit any of the kind of things that don't fit the white narrative.
We don't want to acknowledge the multicultural aspects of our society and our diversity.
Don't want to know about Aboriginal soldiers, don't really want to think about what we did to the Aborigines, none of that, except for 2-3 days of the year when it comes out, and inevitably that's the time to make that statement because it's not really on our radar the rest of the time. And so, you know, what do you do?
Do you reckon she should have gotten the sack?
No.
No?
No.
Fuck no.
You don't think so?
I don't think so either.
No.
I don't know.
And you know,
I think considering what she said last time, I think she's on her last one now. Like if she fucks
one
up
more
again,
chance.
one more chance. That's what I think because they sort of distance themselves from her, saying that she's only a part-time presenter and what have you.
And it was in her personal
So
capacity.
basically, you know what? Them in admitting that, isn't that sort of saying that she's just a token symbol?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
that's the thing.
She's just throwing to reporters' stories. She's only there just to put a nice face on things, you know. And basically, her power and her purpose goes way beyond her being a female or a Muslim or whatever. It's gone political now, you know.
But at some point, like the Oldfield woman on Sky said, you know, you're brown and you're a girl and you're a bitch, you know, and. In a way, and she said, you know, that's why you've got a job at the ABC.
Yeah.
Now, me and Sach, I think
up,
me and Sera, we're probably more unified on tokenism than, you know.
Yeah, well, it depends. I'm sort of moving away from it, but I can see the value
in a way,
of it sometimes.
it's like, oh, all right, so what are you doing here, Oldfield? Like, just why do you have this job? Because I'm rich and I'm a fucking housewife. And
well, what was she doing on the show then? Why was she commenting on such an issue? That's pretty important.
Maybe it was a promotional thing for Real Housewives.
In a place where, you know, Muslim women don't really have like massive representation, then you got this job because, you know, you got a nice face and you're a Muslim and you are more accessible to TV audiences. Well, that's a good enough reason to give someone a job.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with her having a job.
No. See, you put that the wrong way. You know, it should be a meritocracy. You know, the reason why.
Here we go.
No, hold on. No.
What the hell does that even mean?
No, that means that you should be able to go up the ladder, whichever industry you pick.
She's a good speaker. I've seen her speak
regardless
on YouTube
of what
and stuff.
she
She's a good
speaks. You know,
speaker.
I'm not denying that. I'm not saying anything about what she brings to the table. I'm saying if she's an engineering graduate, right, and they've said she's a part-time presenter at the ABC, so basically her ideas and her opinions aren't reflective of what the ABC think, then why wouldn't you say that, you know, why wouldn't you just wipe your hands off it? You know what I mean? They've got a plan for this.
No, I think it's not just that. I think the ABC, and maybe we'll wrap it up on this, I think the ABC don't want to sack her because if they sack her after all this pressure, now this is the second round of pressure because you remember she came under a lot of pressure with the Sharia law comments on Q&A in February. If they do it now, then they will, then the right-wing media and political establishment will know that they can basically interfere with the ABC's editorial choices and their choices of presenters. So I think the ABC, I actually don't think it's about her. I think they are just standing their ground to ensure that this, you know, they don't set a precedent.
They should. Plus, let us not forget McIntyre settlement.
And not only that,
exactly.
I mean, not long ago that they had that big waffle about that presenter who had a blooper on air, so they want to stay quiet now too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They blew
so
that.
basically, they blew that, and now if they cave now, then they're just a big laughing
That's
stock.
right. So I think she'll be sticking around for a little bit longer. Now, on to what I would describe as a real news story, and that is Peter Dutton and his alternative facts about the Good Friday shots that were fired by the Papua New Guinean soldiers into the Manus Island detention centre. Now, Peter Dutton said that the violence occurred after local people witnessed the asylum seekers leading a 5-year-old boy into the centre. That's sort of all he said. And of course,
well, there was the sexual abuse connotation.
there was a very strong sexual abuse connotation. Now, of course, there's no evidence in support of his claims. And in fact, the top police officer in Papua New Guinea has come out and expressly contradicted what Dutton has said.
Yeah, I think what Dutton said was at odds with what the cop had said already. Like when he made that statement, I think that it was highlighted.
And then he got the boy's age wrong, right?
He got the boy's age wrong and he got the time wrong. So apparently it was actually a week before that a 10-year-old boy had been given food from the people in the asylum, from asylum seekers in the centre. But, you know, what is with Peter Dutton? Nick?
Your man.
He's just... I don't know. I feel like I should enjoy Dutton more, but I just find him to be such an egregious dingbat that...
Doesn't he look like he's like standing outside someone's window?
This is the best.
This is
And
the best
you know, you will recall that photo that came out and his media team said, nobody circulate that.
That's right.
So we are very happy to use it.
You know, I mean, come on. So let's take a little look at what happened to him on Insiders. Barry Cassady strung Pete up.
Who gave you this information?
Well, Barry, I have senior people on the island. We also have obviously significant contacts with the governor and people of Manus.
Well, you didn't speak with the police commander, clearly.
Well, I can give you the facts in relation to it, or you can take the Twitter
let me
version.
Give you what I understand the facts to be. The boy wasn't 5; he was 10. It didn't happen on the day of the disturbance. It happened a week before the disturbance. And there's CCTV footage outside of tent number 1 that shows the boy went inside and the people are packing fruit into plastic bags. They gave him the fruit and he left. But you're an ex-Queensland policeman. You know that you're presumed innocent, don't you?
Of course, but you're going to the mood on the ground, which is not something that you need to prove beyond reasonable doubt in court.
And the police are investigating this incident around the 5-year-old boy.
Yes, they are.
Do they understand he's 10 and not 5?
Well, I'll leave the detail to them to explain.
The detail is important in these matters. The police commander says that there's CCTV footage showing that the boy was waiting outside the gate. He was looking for food. Food was placed into a plastic bag and given to him. He was 10 years old. It happened a week before the disturbance and he left. That's the extent of it. Now, how is that relevant to anything?
Yeah, so...
Wow.
It's some strong doubling down.
Barry Cassady.
That was good. That was good stuff by Barry.
Good old school stuff, yeah.
It was
No,
good
but
old school.
he did. He gave him a smashing that he deserved. The thing that gets me about this, as absurd as it all looks, is anecdotally, and from what my little radar antennas are picking up, is people like Dutton because he does that. Even when confronted with really a blatant falsehood, the whole thing's not going to fly. It never was. It sounded like bullshit when he said it. It immediately was more or less proven to be so. People that I've spoken to say, I like him, man. I like him because he doesn't back down. Okay? And I go, well,
What can he say
I
to
mean,
that?
look, you're entitled to like whoever you want, but I don't really know how to cope with that sort of an attitude from people who, I don't know, I guess I loosely associate with the rise of, the confusion of Trump and all of the kind of what's true and what's not stuff that's been going on of late. And then it's like, well, this one's kind of cut and dry, but you just like the guy anyway, you know?
But there's some really interesting questions with this and disturbing ones because increasingly Peter Dutton is, I think, seen as a potential leadership contender for the Liberal Party.
It looks like he's trying to flex his muscles.
He is, and in the aftermath of the 457 visa and citizenship test changes,
I just think it's funny.
Peter Credlin on Sky was saying that she thought he was positioning himself as an alternative leadership contender. So he's obviously a powerful figure within the Liberal Party.
Preceding that as well, he came out with deporting all those people with who were born criminals who were born in other countries.
Yeah, that's right.
But who were here. Alex Vella, the Rebels president, he's in Malta. You could tell from that point on, from around that time, he was basically trying to ramp up a bit of support and also build a bit of a reputation as a bit of a tough man for himself.
Yeah. Well, because he's an ex-police officer, so he's got that sort of
ex-Queensland police officer.
Ex-Queensland police officer, we should say.
That's right.
But one thing that the hashtag Sach Dutton was really trending very strongly on Twitter. In fact, until the Yassmin Abdel-Magied controversy, and then of course Dutton jumped onto the bandwagon. She shouldn't be on the taxpayer payroll. Blah blah blah.
Hashtag Dutton Sach.
Exactly. Exactly. Good point. He did say that he knows facts that other people don't know. And it's sort of like, well, if you know them, release them.
Yeah.
And don't just release them through Andrew Bolt, which is what he subsequently did. Tell us what the facts are and release the footage, because there's CCTV
if you were
footage.
if you were him, would you release them? If you were him, would you release them?
Well, I wouldn't if I...
To the detriment of your party and where you are at the
well,
moment?
that proves that he's lying.
Yeah, but of course he's lying. That's what he does for a living.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
they're sitting
I
here
just
going, "Oh my God, he lied again."
No, I just think that
Yes.
there's a bigger question here.
If Shorten is in power, right, and this happens to him, what do you think he's doing? He's doing exactly what Dutton does.
I don't know.
He's going to sit there and accentuate the negatives, you know, and manipulate the facts or whatever he believes are the facts to his own benefit. That's what they're going to do. At the end of the day, this is the problem with Australian politics. Whenever politics comes up, I sort of just tune out because there aren't any genuine characters anymore. We spoke about this before. Anything to come out of Nauru and Manus Island that would, I don't know, be bad publicity for anything that comes out of there, full stop, would be bad publicity for anybody. So basically, whenever something does come out of there, they've got to try and finesse it the way they want it.
Here's the difference between Labor and Liberal dealing with this problem. Labor lets the refugees go to their family's funeral and they maybe take care of the little girl with the shrapnel in her head or whatever. They'll do that off the top. But they won't change anything else underneath it. You know, it's going to be an image of compassion that they'll project.
Yeah, that's right.
The Liberals' thing is just the opposite of that, but it's not greatly different, which is say, no, we don't budge, we don't bend.
That's right.
Which is exactly what Dutton does, which is why people like him, because they're morons.
But the reality is you've got people here on this island who are trapped there.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for them to go.
No.
They're there indefinitely.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
the US will pick them up, maybe they won't. And if the US doesn't pick them up, where do they go? What happens to them? And then you've got this guy going around...
Peering through somebody's window who's having a shower.
Going around...
Allegedly.
Allegedly, reportedly.
Going around and making up stuff about the circumstances in which this shooting occurred.
Yeah.
And you've got these asylum seekers who are in Manus who can't defend themselves.
That's why Dutton's
And
fun
it's
to
just-
hate.
The one other aspect I wanted to touch on with this discussion is, I don't know if you followed up, but Dutton came out the day after Barry's interview and sort of insisted that the ABC apologised to him for challenging his version of events. It's sort of like, okay, like you're an elected politician. You are accountable.
Yeah.
The role of the media is to hold you to account.
It's a massive dweeb.
It's like lesson 101 of media and politics.
He's a massive dweeb.
I just thought it was, I think you found it pretty amusing as well.
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll wrap up Peter Dutton there, and no doubt we'll have another opportunity to utilise this fantastic image
coming back.
when we talk about Peter Dutton the next time. So Barack Obama is being paid, get this, 400,000 American dollars to...
535,000 Australian dollars.
You've done the conversion.
I have.
How impressive.
I did it in my head.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
Wow. To deliver a speech
Mm.
at a healthcare conference which has been organised by Wall Street,
Mm.
as I understand it. Sash, we spoke a couple of weeks ago about envy, inequality. What's your take on this?
No take at all.
No take?
Yeah, you pay me any sort of money to stand there and talk to anybody.
You do it.
You do it. And not only that, someone in his position, his predecessors, have been privy to this sort of treatment for years and years and years. Bill Clinton had gone on the speaking circuit, not so much George W. Bush. I don't think anyone would go and listen to that guy. But regardless of that...
Yeah, that's interesting, actually. I don't think he would ever get paid that sort of money.
But I think in this situation, Obama, with all the facts coming out about how he helped the big banks in 2008 with that massive fallout that they had, for someone who actually believed in the narrative at the time, it doesn't shock me, but it's sort of...
disappointing.
It is a little bit disappointing. That little bit of faith I had in the human condition is slowly eroding. But anyway...
You actually had faith in the human
it's
condition?
gone. It's
Yeah,
gone.
faith.
It's like a dot.
Slow
It's like
erosion?
a dot. Yeah, it's like
There
a
must
dot.
be a little
It's
bit
gone.
there.
Yeah, it's a
but
dust.
It's definitely
Dust
gone
particle.
now.
I'm flabbergasted.
But regardless, I think he's the type of guy that he's a great politician. You know why? Because he makes me feel that way. You know what I mean? Like he actually makes me question whether he's a bad guy or not. You know, and he's that good, and he's worth every bit of the $65 million he's being paid for his memoirs. Him and his wife, actually, because that's a double story. And you know what? They deserve it. I think.
But they don't. It's
Are
not
you
like they
fucking
need the.
shitting
No,
me?
they do. They do. You know what? If someone's going to pay you 65, no, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You know what? They deserve it.
They deserve
Yeah,
that.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
All right.
You know what?
Go for
Mr.
it.
White Man. Okay. Okay. Let me tell you this. All right. Okay.
There's no need to get like that.
When you
Oh, yes, there is.
keep it together. Come on, hold it, guys. No, but let me tell you something. When you have come from the position he came from, right? Okay.
Yeah. He's been president already.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Someone wants $535,000 Australian dollars to speak to a bunch of Wall Street people.
I don't care. You pay me any. I'll give my story up for 10 grand. You know, you take that. You can do whatever you want with it. That's right.
10
This
grand's a lot
guy's
of money.
65 million. Are you kidding me? $400,000, $200,000 pension.
Okay.
Does not mean he deserves
He
it.
does. I'll tell you why. Because he was in, mate, that guy was in a rattle pit, man. I'm telling you, snake pit. Snake pit, rattle pit. It could be a
Rattlesnake pit. Rattlesnake pit. Yeah. No, look, they're very interesting questions about what he really stands for, because you remember during the campaign, Hillary got into quite a bit of trouble about her speaking fees on the Wall Street circuit. Now, obviously, he's not running for president anymore. He can't. But it does really raise an interesting question. And I've read a lot of material coming out of the US, which basically is suggesting that, you know, is this somehow, I mean, they're not really suggesting it's sort of payback for the soft sort of approach that he took on Wall Street, but there's a little bit of an element of that.
He just got into power at that stage too, you know. What else? He was given a massive shit sandwich. What was he going to do?
No, that's such bullshit.
What was he going to do? Was he going to let petty differences come between, you know, saving a lot of people's, I don't know, their livelihoods at the time?
Bro,
I don't know.
Do you know?
Right, let him talk.
Do you know?
Please tell me.
That he didn't prosecute a single individual that was involved in the GFC, right? At the start of his tenure, Obama had majority. Like, he could have pushed through various things, which he declined to do. And ever since then, I mean, really, I'm kind of... I know what you mean about his charisma and charm, and everybody fell for it.
Such a good bullshit artist.
He's a great bullshit. Of course, I'm paying that.
Yeah.
I'm not paying it $65 million.
If you can get it.
I don't know how much that is in Australian dollars.
You didn't do that calculation.
Oh,
It's a
that would
massive
be,
amount.
yeah, come on, you know.
Yeah, it's got to be,
right.
you know, 82.
It's quite a lot of money.
Tell me about that.
But you know, he's got a pretty bad record, and he has pulled the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah, big time.
Endlessly.
Including me.
You know, it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's
And-
true.
and yeah.
It's true. It's true. He, in fact, former editor of the Washington Post, said he is the most aggressive president against journalists since Nixon.
Yeah.
Figures bear that out.
Yeah.
You've got. Last year, he dropped 26,171 bombs in the middle, well, around the world. Most of those in Syria and Iraq. He had his Tuesday kill list.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
know,
Yeah, that's good.
All of this stuff, which is pretty nasty sounding. And I think that
People will always love him, mate.
I know.
At the end of the day.
I know, because
will
they're
always-
blinded by the idea that
Look at
he's
him.
he's a black, he's
Look
a
at the
good-looking black
man.
guy, right?
Look at him.
Look, I think
It's not right.
I
It's
think
not objective.
It's
not.
Well,
It's
it's
not.
not. You're right. And I
You're
think,
right.
but I think this whole discussion about him getting this money on the speaking tour, getting $65 million for the memoirs, really, I think, highlights the deep divisions within the Democrat Party, because obviously, you know, something like a quarter of the white working class voters who supported Obama
for
turned
2
to Trump.
terms, went straight to Trump
Straight to
after.
Trump.
Yeah.
And a lot of the discussion there about why that occurred is because people are seeing his party, the Democrats, as a party of ruling elites, and this sort of conduct, you know, basically confirms that.
Status quo.
You know,
And
just confirms it.
Between you and me, I'm calling it right here. I reckon that the Obamas would love to set up their own dynasty. The minute Michelle Obama says, I'm not running for president in 2020, the minute I think, maybe you're planning to.
Yeah,
reckon she
well,
I reckon she definitely might, man.
Well, she'd bloody get their nomination. They were so supportive of her
She
during
would,
the campaign.
She would. I think he's really brought home what a farce, you know, the US governance had turned into.
I don't think she'd get back in though. You know, considering
She doesn't
Hillary
want to.
didn't get in.
No, I agree.
you know,
I think that's
it's
what
the same dynamic.
That's what might stymie. I'm totally with you. Though, let's see what happens, you know, in a couple of years. But you know, look at what happened underneath, just specifically on the race thing. You know, Obama had military armed police forces rolling through major cities, crushing black uprisings, you know, cops openly shooting black
There
people
is a
in the
real
streets.
gap between the
how
PR
do you-
spin and the reality.
Fucking oath there is,
Yeah.
because he does those, you know, comedians in cars things and Jerry
Yeah, yeah,
Seinfeld
yeah,
and the
yeah.
mic drop.
They
and
love
the
he
guy,
raps
man.
with the
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
from
He's a
Hamilton, the
celebrity.
most
Yeah.
racist musical ever. Yeah. You know, and
He's a symbol of hope, man. You can't take
Yeah.
that away from people.
you can if you actually put their record up
yeah,
and
but
let
you
people
still
have a
won't.
look at
And
it.
considering what Trump is doing and the way he treats people,
Yeah.
Barack Obama will always be seen as the
You
people's
know else?
president.
You know who
Yeah.
else used to be a symbol of hope? Malcolm Turnbull.
Well, that's true. And on
really.
that note, could you ever imagine any of our former prime ministers ever being paid this sort of money? 65 million for Malcolm's memoirs, do you reckon?
Yeah.
I reckon Bob Carr would consider himself worth it.
Yeah, but whether or not he'd actually get it is a different question. But it's just a
probably
whole
not.
other different market there, isn't
I'd
it?
flick him at 20
Yeah.
20
Anyway.
cents.
On that note, we hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode of The Third
Yeah,
Rail.
we had so much fun delivering
We
it to you.
did. We certainly did. And
Yep.
we look forward to delivering the next one.
That's right,
Yes.
deliver.
See ya.